All right, here's how you get a free tech education. No tricks, no gimmicks. How do your finances change when you move into a tech role?
Oh my gosh, and this is the best part right here.
Yeah. You said you come from humble beginnings.
Yes, I grew up in Forest Lane, in the hood.
Well, I know. That's code. We're talking about the hood.
Roaches in my ear. Okay, I'm serious. It was hood.
That's proper hood.
Internship, I noticed I lacked technical skills, and that's how I got into technology through the program.
What advice would you give to someone who wanted to break into tech but doesn't have the background in technology?
I would definitely recommend looking into it. They are there to guide you 100% of the way.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah, for free.
Yes.
Which is so wild.
Yes. And that's the thing about they have different tiers of levels for those who are maybe more advanced experience to individuals who have no experience at all.
Yeah, okay.
So they accommodate all levels of experience. Consider a success story.
I would say so. I would say so.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I go around and I just, I not persuade, but more so just authentically express my story to stakeholders.
Yeah.
And we permit more money that way. So, yeah.
That's dope. We'll get into that.
Okay.
You started telling me about your background in the military.
Yes.
So I want to get to how you got into tech.
Okay.
But I guess the reason why your profile stood out to me is because I'm like, oh, she's got like this whole military background.
Yes.
First. And it didn't really, from what I could tell, didn't really have a whole lot to do with tech.
It did not, but it opened up opportunities for me to obtain technical skills.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
So I guess on this series, we want to talk to people who have, I guess, unconventional stories around how they ended up in tech. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear your background before you got into tech, whatever you want to tell me.
Okay. Well, my name is Brashanda Walker.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Dallas, Texas. So I am a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Okay. But I joined the military 2 weeks after graduating high school. I come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I had a very unstable childhood.
Yeah.
Mother and father were in my life, but sometimes life just hits you hard, and I had to become agile. So I was very unstable growing up. I moved around a lot, but the military to me provided a stability that just casted my interest. And so immediately I joined. I served 6.5 years, stationed at New Mexico, Holloman Air Force Base. Immediately after I separated, I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And
before we get into that, when you were leaving high school, did you know in 2 weeks' time you were joining the military?
Yes, they have this thing called MEPS, and it's like a holding placement until you're ready to deploy out to your for basic training. Okay. And due to I was in high school, I had to wait like 7 to 8 months. Yeah. And then afterwards, I'm out of here.
How did you know that the military would? I mean, I get the. I don't get all of it, obviously, but I'm a military brat. Like I'm a Navy brat. And my dad, similar kind of thing. He's like, I gotta get out of here.
Okay, yes.
And so he joined up.
Yes.
But how did you hear about that as a pathway? Like,
That's a good question. So throughout high school, I started working at 14 years old. Yeah. My sophomore year. So I always had a job at McDonald's. Yeah. And you see everyone at McDonald's. Yeah. And what stood out to me was the hats on certain veterans. And I think it was my uncles, or I have a very large family, but they always talked about the military, but I was a bit scared. Yeah. And I just finally convinced myself to just ask individuals who come to my drive-thru. So every single gentleman or woman who I encountered, they recommended either the Navy or Air Force for me as a woman. Okay. And that is what started my interest with the military.
So I don't want to run, we want to get to this part about how you got into tech. I don't want to run past the military part. That was 6 years of your life, right? Was it 6 years?
It was 6.5 years, actually.
What is it? Give me what is that? What did you do during that time?
Everything. Literally everything. Yeah. So my job was considered force support. Okay. I was I did mortuary. I was a chef.
What is that?
Mortuary. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah. So
you didn't select that, did you?
I did not, but I did have the chance to volunteer into it. Okay. And I thought it was the most honorable out of the 4 cores of my job. So I was like, let me do it. But immediately I was like, this is not for me. But I'm glad I did it because, it exposed me to a different side of the military.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my military experience.
Yeah, okay. So then you decide, okay, I'm going to, instead of re-enlisting, I'm going to get out.
Yes, I was actually medically discharged.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a couple of injuries that just deemed me as not unfit anymore. So that's what prompted me to get into college afterwards.
Okay. So did you know, like, when you were separating from the military that you were going to go to school? Had you mapped out what you were going to do?
Yeah, I knew I was going to go to school, but I had not figured out, like, my degree plan.
Okay.
Like I said, come from humble beginnings. So college was a bit out of this world for someone like me. So it was just sort of trial and error with degree plans.
Yeah. How did you figure out what to study? Like, how did you make the decision?
I knew I wanted something challenging, and that was just from my experience in the military, and that's what sort of prompted me to look outward or external outside of the military. But I just wanted something challenging that I was going to use my intellectual capacity.
Yeah, okay.
And I just sort of jumped around, and finally I landed in supply chain management, and which is a great field to be in. But in my internship, I noticed I lacked technical skills.
Okay.
And that's how I got into technology through the program NPower.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you say you lacked technical skills, what do you mean, like, in terms of?
Reggie, I could not utilize spreadsheet.
Okay.
I was like, and so in supply chain, you have this thing called SKUs, and it's like you have to pretty much label every piece of the inventory.
Yeah.
If you have thousands of labels, you have to book, input all of those into, some type of application. I'm traditionally, inserting one by one label, and it's just time consuming. I was like, there has to be an easier way to do this.
So in your college classes, you didn't work with any of those tools?
You didn't work with? No, I did, but it was not enough to gain like a solid comprehension where I can do like bulk orders. I can really go into depth. It was so surface level.
So how did it become apparent to you that you lacked the technical skills?
During my internship.
Okay, they were this ain't working?
This is not working. I'm like, I have to obtain some type of technical skill so I can be better efficient within what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
And would you just hop on Google or something and start searching stuff?
So this is how God works, all right? It's like he will put things in front of you, and then if you're not ready for it, he will bring it back when you are. And so NPower was introduced to me 2 years prior to me joining.
Okay.
Personal life was going on. I was going through a divorce, figuring out how to become a single mother.
Yeah.
Trying to get back on my feet financially. So at the time, I didn't have the capacity to accommodate NPower.
Yeah.
Once my internship was there, I was like, okay, I need these skills. I was, more in tune with life at the time, or I can get into additional opportunities like technology.
Yeah. So you kind of like, you knew about it, but you kind of filed it away. Like,
yes. I was like, I couldn't do it. I didn't believe that I could do it. And then just the intellectual,
what do you mean you didn't believe you could do it?
That's a good question, because that is what I run into every day when I persuade people into technology. They don't. I thought I was not smart enough. When you think of technology, you automatically think of like science and the nerdy people, and I did not fit the description I thought it was.
I feel like I just want to dig further because I'm like, but you did it. You did college. You did.
Yes, right.
Even with that, you didn't feel like you. Why?
Yes.
Why is that?
I just thought it was just It was like learning a foreign language. Okay. But once I actually like really put my effort into it, I was like, this is like anything else. It's just like reading a book. Now you do have to put effort into it. But it was not as difficult as I thought it was once I got into it.
So was it just because it was so foreign to you? Like you didn't really know much about it. You didn't
foreign. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, is it because you didn't know much about it? You hadn't been exposed to it, like. Okay.
There it is. Lack of representation, imposter syndrome, all of the above, lack of exposure. There's no one in our community saying, hey, join technology. It's more so just, get a job to survive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that very well. And I guess one of the reasons I love hearing these stories is because I also had a hard time figuring out how to get into tech because I didn't see anyone.
Exactly. Yes.
So you stumbled across this Empower program.
Yes.
What did you know about it? What had you heard about it at the time where you decided I need to reach out to them again? What was the impression that was left in your mind?
So when I first heard of it, it was strictly the eligibility was only for veterans and like dependents and spouses, I believe.
Yeah.
And so of course I fitted the criteria, but that was all I knew about it.
Yeah.
But once because you have to get interviewed, it's sort of like the enrollment process for college.
Yeah. Okay.
So they have to screen you, and I was
Is that
okay.
stressful?
It was not stressful. It was honestly like I felt like it was too good to be true.
Okay.
Because I'm like, what is going on? And then it's free. You do not run into opportunities like that. But immediately we were in person, so I was like, oh, this is challenging. I love it. You know, we're breaking down motherboards, we're putting back CPUs.
Jeez.
I mean, like for someone who had no technology experience.
So you got to talk to me through how so you apply.
Mm-hmm.
How long was the application process?
So they at the time I think they have 2 cohorts.
Okay.
And I went back through 2019, so it's completely different now.
Yeah.
But I still believe it's 2 cohorts, spring and then fall.
Okay.
I believe I applied like maybe May, and I was accepted in June and started their June cohort.
Okay, so pretty quickly after applying.
Oh yes, it's very quickly. Yeah.
And was it full time or were you working?
Full time.
So
yes.
you had to. Obviously, well, you weren't working. You were.
I was not working, and as a veteran, because I medically separated, that was my financial.
Yeah, for sure.
And then going to school as well too.
Yeah. So you then joined the program. Sorry, I cut you off because you said you started breaking down motherboards.
I did. That was like our first assignment. Like they would give you, it's like the CPU, and then you have to break it apart. You have to figure out what the RAM and I mean I was just geeking out, like.
So you were interested in it.
I was immediately. I'm like, okay, this is challenging. I liked it,
It's interesting to me because you mentioned like some of the skills you were lacking.
Yes.
Or technical skills. We're talking about like spreadsheets and stuff.
Yes.
But like this is a whole different level of tech.
Exactly. Fundamentals.
Yeah.
This was strictly fundamentals.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Empower. They have different tiers of levels for those who are maybe more advanced experience to individuals who have no experience at all.
Yeah, okay.
So they accommodate all levels of experience.
So you're coming in
fresh. No, blank slate.
And they're like, Shonda, here's a motherboard.
Yes, and they have an instructor there, and the class was so nice, because we're all supportive. Majority of us had no experience at all, neither, and us veterans, and some were just spouses or dependents as well.
Yeah.
So we're in there just learning together, supporting one another.
What is Empower's mission? Because I mean, it is interesting that it's all veterans, and you kind of, I mean, obviously you can really relate to each other because you've all served.
Correct.
What is their goal? Like, why is this free? Like,
I know, right?
Why are they helping? Why veteran? Like, what is this?
Yes. So it originally, initially, strictly for veterans.
Yeah.
Now we're opening up to young adults. Of course, now high schoolers in certain regions as well, to 18 to 26 for the young adults program. But they want to break barriers of poverty and disadvantaged communities.
Okay.
That is their main mission. Now they are expanding and trying to break barriers for women.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with the statistics for women in technology.
I don't. You should share them.
It's extremely low. I believe it's like maybe less than 6% in women in technology overall. So that means there's about 94% that is male dominated.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it.
You can definitely see it.
Yeah.
And as a woman myself in technology, you can feel it as well every day.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things there that they're doing. Obviously, they're increasing representation within technology, but why veterans? Why, like, what's because you mentioned like communities that may be disenfranchised.
Yes.
Veterans as well. Like, is that?
See, so I'm not sure why they chose veterans, and it could be maybe because of the transition, lackluster. Yeah. Because it is hard when you are transitioning, if you're not aware of the benefits that are offered and how you can sort of bounce back. Because the military is a guaranteed paycheck. Yeah. Once you're out, that is it.
Yeah.
Bye, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Here's your form. But I believe maybe Empower sort of wanted to provide a platform for individuals to transition from the military. It was extremely in high demand. Maybe because of us veterans speaking about it, or just, you can just see for yourselves if you went to graduation and you can see the success stories. But I'm personally happy that they did open it up to young adults and other individuals, and it's mind blowing. Yeah.
You definitely seem to be a big advocate of Empower.
Yes.
When you were going into it, did they kind of paint a picture for you of like what you would be afterwards? Because I speak to a lot of people who have gone through like a tech boot camp or something like that, and they kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to become like a UX designer, I'm going to be a software engineer. Like, did Empower say, hey, we're going to put you on a track to become something like?
Yes, and that is what I loved about it, because there was no gimmicks or like over promises, I guess you can say. They provide a roadmap, and they provide guidance, but it's really up to you as the individual as far as your effort and where you're going to land. But they are there to guide you 100% of the way. For free.
For free.
Yes.
Which is so wild.
Yes.
What were you guided towards? Like, were you thinking, I'm gonna finish this program and what am I gonna do?
Yeah. So initially, and I'm still there as well because I'm a supply chain major. I wanted to integrate my supply chain and technology skills. So I thought cloud computing would be more so my cup of tea. But my first job was actually the opposite. I was a networking engineer, which I think is pretty cool because to me it's like the core of technology. Connectivity. If you can figure out how everything is connected, you pretty much know technology.
100%.
100%. You can just build off that skill set. But I enjoyed it from there, and then I just sort of built on my skill set, just adding more components of technology on top of networking. And I'm sort of like a kind of all around right now. That's
pretty wild. Like thinking about what you had been doing before to network engineering. Like it's a pretty big leap. What were the challenging parts of kind of going through Empower and getting that education in tech?
I think it was just more so, of course, it was very time consuming and just life in conjunction. I mean, I had just finished my divorce, single mother, a full-time college student, and just trying to figure out my career and as a whole. So I was on a fixed income financially. So I was a bit I'm not going to lie, I was on edge. I was on edge.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like I didn't have too much time I didn't have any time for myself at all as well. So, but I mean, I think it took about 6 months overall. And afterwards, I mean, life just opened up. The heavenly doors opened up. Yeah, seriously. It was like, seriously.
That's really, what year was this?
2019.
Okay, so not too long ago.
No, yes.
It's interesting hearing that because I've talked to other people and it's like they finish and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know where to go. I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah.
How did you know like what to do afterwards? Did they give you support of like, this is what we're gonna like set up like a roadmap for you to do job searching? Like, is all that built into the program?
They did give us the support, and also they provided us professional development as well. By nature, I am a curious person and sociable person, and networking to me is what provided me the most success in Empower. I was the
networking within Empower.
Networking within Empower, yes. I was the one who volunteered for all of the events. And at the volunteer events, I would talk to the alumni to get their insight as well. I would network with the alumni. And eventually, one of the alumni helped me get my first internship at Deloitte. And then from there, I was able to go into AIG. And it just sort of opened the doors.
That's it's an interesting one because, again, so many people say they hate networking.
It can be uncomfortable if you're not used to it.
If you're not used to it.
I mean, I'm fortunate because I was in college. So I started networking with their events. And then in conjunction, Empower, I just built on top of that.
How did you do it in a way that is like genuine and authentic and like, thinking about people listening, like who kind of like, they hear that word networking and inside they die. Like,
honestly.
how do you do it in a way that is, I don't know.
Natural.
Natural.
Yes. It definitely took trial and error for me. And I think that is the biggest for African American people because usually you will be the only one there.
Yeah.
And I dealt with the imposter syndrome, trying to be someone I'm not, trying to, soften my voice to sound much nicer. And you would start to feel like you're not yourself. And so, it's great to have mentors as well. And also YouTube is a good one. Talking to your teacher. Like I reached out to literally all of my resources and that molded me into who I am today.
So that's one that you don't hear talked about so openly.
Yeah.
Particularly what you said around softening your voice or you're like hyper conscious of like, your appearance and how you show up. And I don't know, certainly for Black men, it's how do I not appear threatening? How do I be friendly or aggressive? How do you like, cause you're in a corporate environment now as well. And we'll get to that too, but how do you deal with that? Especially because we've already highlighted that there is a massive like discrepancy between, who's represented within the tech industry.
Exactly.
How do you navigate that?
That's a good question.
And how did you navigate it to get to the point where you are now? Because that's something that you're going to face in tech if you're Black or brown.
That is true.
Yeah.
Make as many mistakes as possible. I mean, so I do not recommend this because I'm not sure if I can say this or not, but I would conduct job interviews just for practice.
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
You can do that? Okay. But some people look at it as you're wasting opportunities, or wasting someone's time. I guess
that's a strategy.
It should be, right?
That's a strategy.
But it's not necessarily promoted or recommended, more often.
Well, they're doing it the opposite way, too, which is what information can I get from this person within the interview?
Exactly.
Because oftentimes they don't have a clear picture of what the job should entail.
Yes.
Or, the boundaries of it, or, is this the right job? So you actually learn from the interviewees.
Exactly. It's like a help me help you, right?
It's a help me help you. It's just unstated. So
thank you.
If you're listening, that's a great tip.
Yes.
Like, go practice interviewing.
Seriously. And if you're in college or even if you're in programs like Empower, I ask for mock interviews as well too. And that's the thing about their resources. They have connections with Fortune companies that they have the capability to take time and perform like mock interviews, but in a very strong environment that can progress your skills. So I took those things very seriously and just utilizing my resources overall, like just asking for feedback afterwards. I took a personality test and I noticed I lacked following up. So, just sort of you have to put yourself out there, for that criticism, but also not be afraid to make those mistakes and be nice to yourself once you do make those mistakes.
That's really good. I think it's kind of like there's the technical skills that you got, but I feel like we're not even talking about that. It's like the softer side of things that really matter. Would you say that those things have helped you in your career the most?
My second job, unfortunately, I was a part of the COVID layoffs when I first initially got into technology. But my second job, and he authentically told me, your technical skills are not there, but your soft skills are there, and that is why we hired you. So you have to be nice to yourself and don't overthink it. And just, hey, if the door does not open, maybe God has another door better for you. And think 100%. Of it that way.
That's a really good perspective.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's the wrong door.
Yeah. You have to be optimistic. Seriously. You should be crying every time, you get a no or sorry, I want to cry every time.
That's wild. So Empower is a free program.
Yes.
You're an advocate for them.
Absolutely.
And clearly a success story.
Yes.
I want to understand a little bit more of your, I guess the transition, financially. How did it impact you?
Oh,
so kind of like, where were you, before you do Empower and then your career goes where? Like, how do your finances change when you move into a tech role?
Oh my gosh. And this is the best part right here. Yeah. This is what gets people into technology, all right? So I started back in 2019. My first job offer was for $65,000.
$65,000. Had you made that elsewhere?
Never made that. No. Okay. In the military, I made like half of that, okay? Yeah, okay. A year. So that was to me big money.
Yes. Especially if you're like, I'm just from your military career, that is pretty much doubling.
Exactly.
That's huge.
It is. And I had no degree in technology. I had a degree in supply chain, but I believe at that time, you're looking at 40 to 55, maybe on the high end.
In supply chain?
In supply chain after graduating college.
Yeah, okay.
But 65 right out the door, just having certifications.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's kind of like unheard of.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. And then literally within a year and a half, I jumped up to 80.
Yeah.
And then I'm now where I'm at now, which is triple what I started out at.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, how did you do it? How did you do it?
Of course, so I consider myself a nerd.
Yeah.
But I love knowledge.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly on YouTube looking out of what is the next big modern technology tool. I love to look at podcasts similar as yours to gain insight of what is like the day to life. Yeah. And I compare it with what my personal goals at the time. Yeah. So I love to have the convenience of being free. Yeah. So I either like a hybrid or a remote role. And I try to find something within that niche that can allow me to flourish within my goals. So that's a lot what I said, but
that's awesome.
But basically just find your niche, and there are plenty of jobs within technology that you can surround yourself around.
So coming from thinking back to, you said you come from humble beginnings.
Yes. From the hood.
I know. That's code. We're talking about the hood. From the hood in Dallas, right?
Yes, in Dallas.
Done.
Yes.
Let's be real. What does it mean? What does it mean for you and your family to have come from those beginnings to where you are now?
Oh my gosh, this is a great question. So we just had Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
I didn't host Thanksgiving, but I hosted a birthday party for my son this past Saturday.
How old is your son?
He's just turned 11.
He just turned 11. Okay.
So just to see a family gathering in my home, and I'm not trying to be, but it's nice. Yeah. It's spacious enough for everyone to just breathe, and we're not on top of one another. But I'm truly grateful to share what I've been blessed with my family. Yeah. And it's inspiring to others. Yeah. And I see the influence in my family members now. My mother is striving to advance her career. My uncle is now an entrepreneur. Yeah. Like, our conversations are now much more elevated. Yeah. And it starts with just one person, just stepping outside of the box. Yeah. My son, like, to see him as a young Black boy, taking interest into technology. That's looking into robotics of his school and STEM classes, and speaking to his teachers on a level where they're probably not used to most parents my age, maybe being within on a technology base. So it's amazing, Reggie. I thank God every day. I'm still kind of in shock, honestly. I'd never thought I would be here today. Wow. Or just in my career set. I love what I do. I wake up every day. I'm excited to go to work. Wow. It's hard for me to leave work sometimes because I'm like, okay, I have to take a step back here, but it's amazing. And sometimes I feel cheesy talking about it because of, like, I know people are tired of hearing this about me. So, but that's where I'm at.
You get the sense and you get the feeling that like you're flying.
Yes.
And you're like, you're really soaring and flourishing in what you're doing.
Yes. And I just want to bring as many people as possible to fly with me.
How do you do that?
What I'm doing now, talking about it, using myself as representation, and really, trying to change, bring change. We really need rehabilitation in our communities. And if I can be a part of that movement, I'm willing to put away my personal, agenda to accommodate that one, because that is what is going to change us as a community. Yeah. And we must do that legwork.
Yeah, 100%. And is finding ways to give back.
Seriously.
To our community and elevate others.
Yes.
And obviously the work you're doing even at home with your son, like that's
Yes.
like it starts there
It does.
to say like, hey, this is an option. Like you can do this. Which
Seriously.
is huge. You start to change um generations that way.
Yes. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yes. Like just imagine like a lot of black kids walking around, especially men,
Yeah.
like you're happy, you're
Yeah.
confident in yourself. You know, that reflects your personal relationships.
Mm.
It reflects your stance in a community as a
Yeah.
provider and as a man in
Yeah.
general or as a woman in general. So not only are you're building your confidence up, but
Mm.
you are becoming that representation that
Yeah.
is needed. And who doesn't want to support that?
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm um I'm thinking another way
Mhm.
that's really beneficial for the community to see like someone being elevated
Yes.
is continuing to progress in your own career. So you've done some great stuff now,
Hmm.
but I'm wondering, where do you take your career from here?
I know. I'm wondering too, to be
Yeah,
honest,
okay.
because I'm like, where do you go from here? You know, like I don't want to say I made it, but
Yeah,
it's like I'm kind of like at
yeah,
a standstill. Like I'm happy where I'm at.
yeah,
So, but I do have bigger
yeah,
aspirations. I am a supply chain major.
yeah.
Eventually, I would love to start my own manufacturing
Okay,
company
all
and
right,
incorporate some technical patents that I
okay,
can develop and produce.
all right,
So hopefully, few years from now, you'll be hearing about
all right,
my products.
all right.
But also just obtain more advanced skill set that I
Yeah,
can just build and perhaps seek more executive positions
yeah,
within technology. Yeah,
yeah. That's incredible.
yeah.
It feels like when you move into tech, like things open up for you, but it feels like there's also new pathways that
Oh,
open up for you.
absolutely,
Um, are
absolutely.
there other pathways that you're interested in exploring, like that you
Yes,
see right now?
yes. So I grew up in Forest Lane. Are you familiar with
I'm
Dallas?
not.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, for those who are, Forest Lane and Aldelia, it's considered the hood
Yeah.
of North Dallas. I would love to create a technical program
Yeah.
for the elementary school that I went to
Wow.
off of Forest Lane. It starts with the youth at that very young
Yeah.
age. Just imagine a
Yeah.
STEM program and, you know, in my community
Yeah.
and oh my gosh and the kids what they kids love to talk, right?
Yeah.
And when they learn about something exciting, they cannot wait to go home and tell their parents.
Yeah.
If a kid is talking about technology, robotics, or just coding, that parent is going to become interested
Yeah.
themselves. So
Yeah.
it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's massive. That's yeah, that's hugely ambitious and awesome.
yes, thank you.
That's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Um, I'm starting to think a little bit more about people who might find themselves wanting to break into tech.
Yes.
That might have listened to this and thought,
Okay.
how do I do what she did?
Yeah.
Like how do I make the same moves? What advice would you give to someone who um you know wanted to break into tech but doesn't have the background in technology and might be listening to this and thinking, how do I do what she did?
Okay. Well, if you do not have the background in technology, I would definitely recommend looking into NPower, and that's N as in Nancy, and
Yeah.
then Power together. They are nationally, their presence is nationally
Mm,
solidified. But I would start there, look for a program that can be accommodating. If you do find a free program, definitely start there because it can become expensive. And I
mhm.
think that is one of the downfalls. YouTube is another great free resource as
Yeah.
well. Look into tech fundamentals and just see what happens from there, what may prompt you, and just watch an hour worth of YouTube. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you will have a better scope of how you can get into technology,
Mm,
what to expect, what salary that you can start to, you know, place yourself into, and also just what you as an individual can see yourself doing from
yeah.
there. The technology is an ocean. It has an ocean of fields. So, I mean, you hear mostly about cybersecurity,
Mhm.
but there are so many different others that pay just as well.
Yeah.
So I would recommend starting there, doing your research, and then from there, maybe finding a mentor
Yeah.
that you can see yourself in their day to day, in their roles,
Yeah.
and develop a relationship from there, and just start there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
really
yeah.
good. This is a very open-ended question.
Okay.
Do you have a message that you want to share with this audience?
Wow, that is an open question. I guess my message is, I am a strong believer in God, and I believe that if you have faith and lean on God, God will always create that pathway, and just ask for God to open up that portal for your prayers to be heard. But you must do the work. And you can look at the outside product all day, but you do not understand the legwork that I put into. And it all equates your success. What you put into it it equates what will come out. So lean on God and always put in 100% effort in whatever you do. And I guarantee you'll be okay.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Was that a good answer?
That's a great answer.
I told you I'm cheesy.
I felt like you have a message, and I feel like when I listen to you and I see the moves you're making from afar, I'm like, yo, she about to do something.
Really?
Yes.
Well, give me the game, because I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay. Thank you.
That's. I mean, and I think that's. We need that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. We need your platforms, more platforms like you.
Thank you. This is nothing without people like you to come on and tell your story of how you got to where you have.
Thank you.
Also understanding where you came from.
Yes.
Again, the hood. We said that like so. Yes. It's possible. Like
it is. I have roaches in my ear. Yeah. Okay, I'm serious. It was hood.
That's proper hood. And I think it's I don't know, I feel like, even you mentioning that you felt like, with tech, like you couldn't do it. Like you weren't going to be smart enough or something. And it's like, but then we're all looking and watching like, well, clearly she's got it. You know what I mean?
And still don't have it all, But and no one has it all in technologies. And that's the thing. So, yeah.
So we are building a community of people who are interested in breaking into tech.
Okay.
And I wanted to just find out from you if you're interested in helping people, mentoring them.
Absolutely. I recommend anyone and is this the camera right here?
Yeah,
I'm just looking around.
I think yours is that one there.
Okay. Yeah. So much going on right now. But yes, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Brashanda Walker. Can I spell it?
Yeah, go for it.
B as in boy, Rashanda, last name Walker. I am a Air Force veteran, Empower alumni, regional advisory board member. So with that being said, I would be more than honored to help out anyone who's looking to get into technology.
What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Most likely my LinkedIn, and it's just spelled out as that. I think there's only one Brashanda out there on LinkedIn. I haven't seen another one popped up. So, but if you have issues, last name Walker, and I guarantee you'll find me from there.
Awesome. Well, we'll link to you in the show notes as well, and we'll put you on our site so people can reach out to you. And obviously, as people come towards me, I'll recommend them towards you, and hopefully people join Empower as well if they qualify for that.
I hope so too. Please give a shout out to me for sending you there as well. Okay.
Nice.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you so much for coming on the Sprint Hard Iterate Fast podcast. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you go and what you do next, and following your journey from there.
Amen. I'm looking forward to it too. Looking forward to seeing what you do next as well. You're amazing. Thank you for just bringing me onto your platform.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Thank you.
All right.